Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my first soft-spoken video. And the reason I'm doing it is because I wanted to play you something. This is a recording I made in February of 2019. This was the year, a month before I left my last job. I was retiring in March after 20 years. And I made this recording literally a month before I left. And here's what it sounds like. I was talking to myself.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And though I feel the weight lifting from me from my job, I still have a heavy load to go, so it's not completely off. I have a lot of loose ends I have to tie up. I have to write a lot. But in the end, knowing that I'm jumping not knowing when to pull my parachute, I know my parachute will open. I know I'll land on my feet, and I know I'll be fine. I'm not nervous about that. I feel confident in my future. But I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And the only thing that really
I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because it just keeps going for a few minutes and then just gets a little bit more personal. But it was a moment I had in concern, really thinking about where was my life going to go. And I know I want to talk to you out there right now that you want to make a change. You are going through something and you think maybe you should make a change in your life. Maybe you should leave your job. Maybe you should leave a person you're with. Something is going on in your life right now where you're in that moment, or you want to be in that moment, but you're nervous or you're afraid or you're concerned of what might happen if you do it. What's going to happen? There's all sorts of ramifications. In my situation, I was safe to leave. I didn't have to work anymore. I was going to be retired now. I wouldn't have much money, but I would have enough to live. I knew I was going to do something else, so I still had some anxiety, but many times in my past, I had been in that moment where I had changed jobs. The job that I had before I took that job that I was at 20 years, I was already in management and I was nervous to do it. And I was taking a chance going to a store that was going out of business. And I had one chance to make it, and that was turn that store around. And I did. But if I didn't, surely I would have landed on my feet, but it was a risk. It was a chance. And I had that moment where I was thinking, what am I going to do? Am I making the right decision? Is this really what I should do? And that's where I was in that moment. Maybe second guessing myself, thinking, should I do this? And you have to reach this moment. You have to come to that moment where you truly decide. It's not just I think I'm going to do this, or I want to do this, or I should do this. But it's that moment you decide. And when we do, the word decide comes from a Latin word that means cut off. And so when you truly decide, you are cutting off the possibility of ever going back, of ever changing your mind on what you did. So you move forward with that decision. Now you can change from that and make a decision, but you never go back to that old decision. Should you do this or should you do that? And that's where I was in that moment. It was a month away, and I was starting to think, oh my God, have I done the right thing? I knew I'd land on my feet, but it was scary. So just know I was 47 years old at the time. Likely you're much younger than me, and you're going through these things. I went through them when I was younger too, but you'll always be transitioning. It's like listening to that and knowing I was there in 2019 in February. It really wasn't that long ago. But what I've done since then and what I've accomplished and where I'm at today, I would have never guessed that 4.5 years later I would be where I'm at. I've made more money in the last 4.5 years than I did the last 10 years that I was at that store. And I didn't really intend to work again like a serious job. It just happened. It was the first time in my life that I ever got more than what I asked for, that I ever got more than what I wanted. And that can happen for you. It can. You just have to decide. You have to make that decision. You know what's right. You know if you should walk away or if you should stay. You know if this employer respects you. You know if you have a future there. You know. Now, I'm not saying you just up and quit right now, but you start making that plan. You make the decision. I'm leaving. I'm changing. I'm doing this. And then you start planning what's the best exit strategy. How do I do it? I want to be respectful. You don't want to burn bridge. You maybe want to, keep the people that you're working with now liking you. You may need them to be customers or in the future, or you just don't know. And it's always great to be a good human being. So you just start plotting and planning what you need to do, and then you do it. It's just what we have to do. Yeah. So I hope that helps any of you that are going through that type of situation. And yeah, I hope you feel better. I know I do. Because you know what I'm getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to go through it again. And I think, I'm in my 4th year of real estate, and I think that 5-year mark is where I think I might, walk away from something that's really, really, really been good to me, because it's starting to take more time than I want it to take. And so I'm kind of in those early stages of what do I need to do. And because I'm not getting any younger, I'm about next month in September I turn 51. And you're getting up there. Even somebody commented on one of my videos tonight, and they said, have you ever thought about starting a family? You're only 50. You could live another 50 years. You could spend the next 50 years with that child, raising them and helping them become a man or a woman, and then spend Christmases and all that kind of stuff with them. Yeah, I could, but you have to have the right person for that, but would I consider it? I don't. It feels just like at this age, I just don't know if I could do it, but it's my point. Time does go quick, and you have to make good decisions. You have to do things to put your life in the direction that you want it to go quickly. And because it does get away, time does fly. Anyway, I got that part over with, so the rest of the time I'm just going to do a ramble for you just to keep the video going. But I am thinking about changing jobs, thinking about it would allow me to focus more on videos. That's what I like to do. I really just enjoy this. It's not, there could be money in it. People that have bigger channels, really, they make good money. And I think if I invested time, not just ASMR, but other channels, I think I could really, I could make a living at it, and I could actually enjoy what I do. Not that I don't enjoy what I do. I do. It just takes a lot more time than, and stress. There's a lot of stress in that job. Holding deals together is not an easy thing in real estate. So, but yeah. I wonder what this is like. I bet it's way different for you guys to hear me like this and soft-spoken. It's definitely different to do it. It's the first time I've been lost for words. I think I'm tired. I've been putting in a lot of effort. Not here. This is just a couple times a week, but I'm doing that other channel and I'm working a lot. I've also been going back in time and listening to the old me. I've got voice memos going back to 2015 where I counsel myself and I use those to go back and say, okay, here's where I was and modify. I recommend you do it's like an audio journal, and it's interesting, but it definitely causes deep reflection. So one of the reasons that I'm decided to do a soft-spoken was because I did that video on the ASMR outdoorsman, and this is what he does pretty much the whole time. He just does soft-spoken. So I thought, well, it works for him really well, and I've never done one. Maybe I may have done one a couple years ago. I don't know. I don't remember doing one, but there might be one back in there. But I definitely haven't done one for years. So this is it, and I bet I sound way different to you guys. I have to tell you that lately I've got a couple of really hateful comments. I haven't really got them in the past, but angry comments. And usually when I would respond, I'd always just try to respond with ultra kindness, but I've been a little bit more abrasive, I think. Probably shouldn't do that. But it's really interesting just how we're all so different and what kind of different people are out there in the world. There's really, it's really just really strange how different we are and the different viewpoints we have and how those things can cause such division. It's I personally cannot imagine listening to someone whisper about trans rights and how they think that it's super important, or whispering about abortion and saying, here's why I believe in it, and here's what I kind of think we should do as a solution to the debate we have going on between the sides of the side that thinks we should and that side that thinks we shouldn't. But to get on their channel and listen to it and then type, you're an idiot for what you believe, I would never do it. I just couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine, I just couldn't. I might say, hey, have you ever thought about this? I mean, I respect your beliefs, but have you ever thought about this? If I had a good viewpoint as maybe something that person hadn't thought about based on what they said, but never would be angry or chastise. I would never be intolerant for them. I may disagree with them, but I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't be mean. And I think that that's what we've lost. That's civility. And that's where I think we really got to find a way to get it back. We really do. We cannot be hateful to each other no matter what our differences are. We have to bring more kindness into the world, and it's not that difficult. It is not that difficult to just do the right thing. So, anyway, I'm going to try to be a little bit more passive on the angry comments when I get them, because I know my comment section is busier than it's ever been, because I get more views now than I've ever got, because my channel is bigger now than it ever has been, though it's really not that big. It's definitely more than I used to have, for sure. And I just gotta find a way to deal with it and do what's right. Even though, sometimes, we all have that monster inside of us. It's like your shadow. And it's good to know. It's good to have a shadow because sometimes you need it. Like if you are getting attacked or something, you better, you want to be kind and gentle until you have to be a monster. And if you have to be, hey, if somebody broke in my house right now, I would become a monster. And then and you should have a monster in you to be prepared and to protect yourself. But you have to have control over it. And some people, I think, they just don't. The monster's out too much. And there's a lot of aggressive people walking around the world right now. And I don't know. It's just a lot of people on edge, and the world is, it's busy. It's a busy place. Everybody's busy. It takes a lot to make it. And so everybody's trying to do what they have to do, We all got somewhere we have to be. And we got duties to perform. And doing all that and trying to be a good person and get along with your fellow man. And still accomplish your goals and still find time for relaxation and entertainment, pleasure, intimacy. It's all part of the human experience. It's just, it's a challenge to be a human. It really is. It's a difficult species. We are. It's like if you think about it, your body has to have food and it has to, you have to get rid of that food. So we have to have a place to do it if we want to be like sanitary, or before we didn't, just wherever we were. Think about it, that just is part of life. Animals just do it outside and stuff, so we used to too. Yeah, but we become these civilized, domesticated creatures where we live indoors and we are congregated together and we have to live together. We have got to be good people to each other. It's time we did it. Let's just be good to each other. Say nice things. Let's leave good comments. It's time. Whether you disagree with somebody or not. It's like there used to be a saying that the lion would lie down with the lamb. Because in nature, the lion would just eat the lamb. But the saying is, the lion will lie down with the lamb. And so, it's like in today's world, we need the Trump voter to lay down with the Biden voter. We need this political, we all act like we're politicians. I give an opinion on something, you can say, hey, here's what I think and here's what I believe. And like sometimes I wonder how people bring themselves to believe the things that they do. I just don't understand it. Some things, like one thing that I don't understand is like a 9-month abortion. Like somebody really wants to get out and stand in the street and wave a flag and say, I need to do this. I want these for people. I want women to be allowed. That's extreme. That thing, if you cut that thing, if you cut her open and you took it out, it would live. It would just be sitting there crying. And I mean, and to not call that, just take the skin off the belly and look at it and imagine it was out. I mean, it's the same thing. It's not murder if it comes out the canal, but it isn't murder if we do it inside the canal, but if it's outside the canal, it's murder. If you murder the woman and shoot her and it kills the baby, you get charged with 2 murders. Now, how? You see, our rules are just so, how? It is not logical. It is against pure logic. It's not, how can it be murder one and then not on the other? How? Because she chose it? versus somebody chose it for her. Nothing else on the planet works that way. Nothing. If something's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. That has to be addressed. That has got to be part of the solution, to say that part of the equation has got to be solved. It cannot. So there has to be a limit there. But I also get something that's 2 weeks old. There's 2 weeks pregnancy, and you look at that thing of what it is. It just looks like something you would see in your chemistry lab. It's unrecognizable. There's no shape or form. It would be hard to watch that type wouldn't even take a procedure. You'd probably just take a pill. It's like that. It's hard to really, you wouldn't watch that and happen and then cry, unless of course the mom is bawling and crying because she's doing it, if she didn't know really what was right or wrong. But anyway, that part of it, somehow we've got to solve that debate. Please don't give me hate over this. I'm just stating I just think we got to find a timeline in there. I don't have the answer. I've said in previous videos, I think the heartbeat law is like a reasonable, logical theory, because like if I go to the hospital, something's wrong with me, they're not going to pronounce me dead until my heart stops beating. If my heart stops beating and that symbolizes my death, shouldn't the start of my heartbeat symbolize life? I think it just makes perfectly logical sense. Now, there's those occasions where you're going to find like a woman that's 6 months pregnant because she was held captive by a person that was doing wrong. Whether it be a family member or, just somebody off the street. Those things should be handled on a one-on-one basis. It's like the don't ask, don't tell policy. You just deal with those as you have to. And we don't talk about it. There's just certain things that we just know are going to happen, that need to happen, and no one really needs to mention it. That to me is the best solution. There's just so many topics like that there's logical solutions to everything. We don't have to fight. And if it's just going to be that way, like let's say there are some states where the law is up to birth. If up to birth you can get an abortion, there are some states right now that's legal. I like the fact that all the states get to choose, because if I didn't want to live in a state like that, making decisions like that, then I don't have to live there. If I want to live in a state that's where we should be, the United States, but all just a little bit different. We don't all have to be the same. I still find it strange. I would still look over there and go, God, how do you people justify that? I could not justify it in my mind. I couldn't do it. I couldn't, I don't know that I would have to hear some extreme evidence as to why that would be necessary. Again, the only thing I could think is if you found a woman held captive for 9 months, and she was just like, you got to get this monster out of me. But again, you don't have to make it just a form of birth control. You could handle that behind closed doors, and you could just do it. But we would state that the laws are the laws. Here's the laws. I don't know. It's a rare thing. Those are the rare things of why we say, well, if this ever happens, we have to just let everybody do it. Okay. So I mean, it's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. That's kind of the justification we use, but it doesn't have to be that way. I don't know. It's just frustrating. Most of the time anymore, I just try to not think about it. I try to just not think about the madness in the world. Because it's just easier to focus on my own world. Pet my doggies, do my thing, work out, live my life, and pretend like, it's called apathy, and I feel guilty about it. But the That's why my mind is forced to philosophize about it, because I sit there and try to form a solution because I see a problem in the world and I think, well, what should we do since there's no clear answer and whatever we're doing isn't working? What would be the answer? What's the logical solution here? How do we solve this problem once and for all? You know, the one thing that's for certain is mankind is never going to be perfect. I never will be, and nor will any of you, and nor will any of the world. So there's always going to be issues and problems. You know, there's always going to be anomalies or exceptions. We just have to, deal with those. And I don't know. I have given you enough. I have taken you through a multitude of topics tonight. And this is what happens when you only set out with like a 10-minute plan and want to make a 25-minute video. This is what happens. You get a lot of different topics. Please don't give me hate over the abortion thing. Again, I'm just trying to help us come up with solutions, and I just picked a topic that's a problem in the world. So, anyway, thank you again. Please subscribe if you haven't, and please like the video to help me out. I'll see you tomorrow, or whenever I post again. Maybe tomorrow.